You know, there's something I've noticed about getting older. It's not the big things that sneak up on us, but the little ones, those small, quiet changes we might dismiss as just part of aging that can actually make all the difference in how we feel and how long we thrive. That's why today, I want to talk to you about what I call the silent killers. Not the dramatic health scares you see on TV, but the subtle, often overlooked habits and conditions that slowly chip away at our vitality after 65. Let me tell you about my friend George. At 68, George thought he was doing everything right. He ate well, stayed active, and even did crossword puzzles to keep his mind sharp. But then during a routine checkup, his doctor found something surprising. George's blood pressure was dangerously high, and he had no idea. No headaches, no dizziness, just silence. And that's exactly what makes these silent killers so dangerous. They don't announce themselves with flashing lights. They creep in unnoticed until it's too late. That's why in this video, we're going to talk about 5 of these silent killers, the ones I see most often in people over 65, and more importantly, how you can protect yourself from them starting today. Because here's the good news. Every single one of these is within your power to change. You don't need fancy treatments or extreme measures, just awareness and a few simple adjustments to your daily routine. Let's start with the first silent killer, unchecked blood pressure. Now, I know you probably heard about high blood pressure before, but here's what most people don't realize. After 65, your blood vessels naturally lose some of their flexibility, which means your blood pressure can creep up even if you haven't changed a thing about your lifestyle. And because high blood pressure rarely shows symptoms, millions of seniors are walking around with what doctors call the silent killer without ever knowing it. The solution? Get familiar with your numbers. A normal blood pressure reading is around 120/80, but as we age, doctors often accept slightly higher numbers as normal for your age. Don't fall into that trap. Even if your doctor isn't concerned about a reading of, say, 140/90, that doesn't mean it's optimal for your long-term health. Here's what you can do. Invest in a simple home blood pressure monitor. The arm cuff kind tends to be more accurate than wrist models, and check it at the same time each day. Morning is usually best. Keep a little log, and if you notice consistent readings above 130/80, have a conversation with your doctor. Sometimes, small changes like reducing salt, adding more potassium-rich foods, think bananas, sweet potatoes, and spinach, or even gentle daily walks can make a big difference. Now, the second silent killer is one you might not expect, social isolation. We often think of health in terms of diet and exercise, but here's something fascinating. Studies show that chronic loneliness can be as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. As we get older, our social circles naturally shrink. Friends move away. Family gets busy, and before we know it, days can go by without a meaningful conversation. But here's why this matters more than you might think. Social isolation doesn't just affect your mood. It triggers inflammation in your body, weakens your immune system, and even increases your risk of dementia. The good news? Even small connections count. It doesn't have to be big parties or crowded gatherings. Regular phone calls with a friend, joining a book club at your local library, or even chatting with your grocery store cashier can all make a difference. One of my viewers, Margaret, told me she started having coffee dates with her neighbor every Tuesday morning, and after just a few months, she noticed she was sleeping better and had more energy throughout the day. Now, these first 2 silent killers, high blood pressure and social isolation, might seem unrelated, but they actually have something important in common. They both thrive on going unnoticed. That's why awareness is your first line of defense. But there's another silent killer that's even more insidious because it often disguises itself as normal aging. You know, one of the most dangerous things about getting older is how easily we can mistake serious health issues for just part of aging. Take muscle loss, for example. After 65, we can lose up to 3 to 5% of our muscle mass each year if we're not careful, a condition called sarcopenia. But here's what's scary. Most people don't even notice it happening until one day they struggle to get up from a chair or carry their groceries. That brings us to our third silent killer, muscle loss and inactivity. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I'm not an athlete, so why does this matter? But here's the truth. Your muscles aren't just for strength. They're your body's metabolic engine. They help regulate blood sugar, support your joints, and even protect your bones from fractures. The good news? You don't need to become a bodybuilder to fight this. Simple resistance exercises using your own body weight, like standing up from a chair without using your hands, or doing wall push-ups, can make a world of difference. And here's a tip. Protein becomes even more important as we age. Try spreading your protein intake throughout the day. Maybe some Greek yogurt with breakfast, beans with lunch, and fish or chicken with dinner. But there's another silent killer that often goes hand in hand with muscle loss, and it's one that surprises most people: poor sleep quality. After 65, many of us assume it's normal to sleep less or wake up frequently. But here's what you need to know. Poor sleep isn't just about feeling tired. It's linked to higher risks of Alzheimer's, heart disease, and falls. The problem is, our sleep patterns naturally change as we age, and medications can make it worse. Here's what helps. First, try get morning sunlight, even just 10 minutes, to regulate your natural sleep-wake cycle. Second, create a wind-down routine in the evening. Maybe some gentle stretching, reading not on a screen, or listening to calming music. And here's a surprising tip. If you wake up at night and can't fall back asleep within 20 minutes, get up and do something quiet in dim light until you feel sleepy. Lying in bed frustrated actually trains your brain to associate bed with wakefulness. Now, these silent killers, muscle loss and poor sleep, might seem like separate issues, but they're actually deeply connected. When we don't move enough during the day, we sleep worse at night. And when we don't sleep well, we have less energy to stay active. It's a cycle. But the good news is that small changes can break it. And speaking of cycles, there's one more silent killer that creates a particularly dangerous downward spiral, one that often starts with something as simple as skipping meals. You might be surprised to learn that one of the most common silent killers after 65 starts in the kitchen, or rather, from what's missing from it. I'm talking about nutritional deficiencies, particularly the slow, unnoticed decline in proper nourishment that can happen without us realizing it. As we age, our sense of taste and smell often diminishes, making food less appealing. Combine that with smaller appetites, potential dental issues, or even the simple fact that cooking for one can feel like too much trouble, and suddenly we're not getting the vital nutrients our bodies desperately need. What makes this especially dangerous is how gradual it is. You won't wake up one day suddenly malnourished. It happens slowly, over months or years. Maybe you've been skipping breakfast because you're just not hungry in the mornings. Or perhaps you've been eating the same few easy-prepare meals that don't quite cover all your nutritional bases. The scary part? These deficiencies can masquerade as normal aging, fatigue, weakness, even cognitive fog. When in reality, your body might just be crying out for better fuel. Here's what helps. Think of your meals like an investment portfolio. You want diversity. Try incorporating what I call nutritional powerhouses, foods that deliver the most bang for your buck. Eggs, for example, are packed with high-quality protein and brain-boosting choline. Leafy greens like spinach and kale are loaded with magnesium and vitamin K. And don't forget healthy fats like olive oil or avocados. They help your body absorb those crucial fat-soluble vitamins. If cooking feels overwhelming, consider meal prepping on your good days or exploring simple one-pan recipes. But there's another silent killer that often goes hand in hand with nutritional issues, and it's one that comes in a bottle: medication mismanagement. After 65, it's not uncommon to be taking multiple prescriptions. And here's where things get tricky. Some medications can deplete nutrients, like certain blood pressure drugs reducing potassium or magnesium. Others might interact with foods in ways that decrease their effectiveness or cause side effects. And the real danger? We often assume that if a doctor prescribed it, there's nothing more we need to know. This is why having a medication checkup at least once a year is crucial. That means sitting down with your doctor or pharmacist with all your medications, including over-the-counter drugs and supplements, and asking two simple but powerful questions. Is everything here still necessary? And is anything interacting in ways I should know about? One of my viewers, Robert, discovered that a combination of his blood pressure medication and a new arthritis drug was causing dangerous dizziness. something no one had caught until he asked specifically about interactions. Now, I know talking about medications can feel overwhelming, but here's some good news. Small actions can make a big difference. Try using a pill organizer to avoid missed doses or accidental double dosing. Set reminders on your phone for medications that need to be taken at specific times. And most importantly, don't be shy about asking questions. Your health team is there to help you understand your treatment plan. These two silent killers, nutritional deficiencies and medication issues, have something important in common. They both benefit from regular check-ins and small, consistent adjustments. But there's one final silent killer that's perhaps the most insidious of all because it affects everything else we've talked about. The last silent killer I want to talk about is one that often gets dismissed as just part of life. Yet research shows it can take years off your longevity if left unchecked. I'm talking about chronic low-grade stress. Not the acute stress of a major life event, but that constant background hum of worry, loneliness, or frustration that many of us learn to live with as we age. Here's what's frightening. This type of ongoing stress triggers inflammation throughout your body, weakens your immune system, and can even accelerate cellular aging. Now, you might be thinking, at my age, shouldn't I be past stressing about things? But the reality is, later life brings its own unique stressors, concerns about health, finances, losing independence, or outliving our savings. What makes this especially dangerous is how we've been conditioned to downplay these feelings. How many times have you heard someone say, "At least I'm still alive," when expressing concerns, as if gratitude should cancel out very real worries? The good news? You don't need to eliminate stress completely. That's impossible. But you can change how your body responds to it. One of the most effective tools is something available to all of us: controlled breathing. When you feel tension rising, try the simple technique. Inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6, and pause for 2 before repeating. This activates your body's relaxation response. Another powerful strategy is scheduling worry time. 15 minutes each day where you allow yourself to fully focus on concerns, then consciously put them aside. Now, let's tie all these silent killers together with some practical steps you can start today. First, make friends with your numbers. Know your blood pressure. Understand your medications. And stay aware of your nutritional intake. Second, prioritize connection as seriously as you would medication. Schedule regular social interactions like you would a doctor's appointment. Third, move your body in ways that feel good, whether it's share yoga, walking, or gardening. Fourth, treat sleep like the health essential it is by creating consistent routines. And finally, acknowledge your stresses instead of dismissing them. Your emotional health is just as important as your physical health. Remember, the goal isn't perfection. It's awareness and small, sustainable changes. Maybe this week you start tracking your blood pressure. Next month, you could organize a medication review with your pharmacist. Over time, these steps add up to powerful protection against the silent killers that try to steal our vitality. I'd love to hear which of these silent killers surprised you most. Have you experienced any of them without realizing their impact? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help someone else recognize what they've been overlooking. If you found this information helpful, do me a favor. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend who might benefit. We're all in this together. And sometimes the greatest gift we can give is awareness. Here's to your health and longevity. May you thrive in all your years ahead. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.